7 traits characterize an uncultured person, and 7 a sage. Okay, this is page 668. It's chapter 5 in the Siddur. Yeah, in the Siddur. Chapter 5, Mishnah 9. So it's page 668 in the Koran, and most likely it's about okay, because the numbering is different sometimes. And the Mishnah starts Shiva Dvarim B'Golim. Okay, so here are the traits that characterize a sage, and then you can understand what an uncultured person is. Or a golem literally means like a person without life. The golem is somebody who they give life to the golem, someone without life. So here it is. Does not the first two talk about in relation to perhaps their equals or somebody who's above them? So they do not speak before one who is wiser than them, okay? And they don't interrupt the words of this fellow. If someone's speaking, you wait for them to finish, then you speak. Now, in terms of these other ones seem to be talking about someone who asks the wise man for some, or the wise person for something. So they don't answer impetuously. You don't answer. It's in Hebrew it says bivehala. You don't just like answer immediately. You think about it. You take a little while to think about things. You ask relevant questions, give appropriate answers. Right. So people know if you're around the Gdolei Ador, the giants of our generation, they know how to ask the right questions to get to the bottom line, halacha of things. So they ask relevant questions, and they deal with the first things first and the last things last. Stay organized. The rabbi who was here this Shabbos is very organized, right? Like a lot of lists organized, right? It's easy to follow. First things first, second things second. And then about something you have not heard, you say, I have not heard. Oh, that seems like a big innovation, but it's interesting, right? We think a wise person will know everything. Someone who's wise is able to say, I haven't heard that. I don't know it. I'll look it up. And the last one is they acknowledge the truth. So if you pin them down, you say, listen, rabbi or wise person, this is not true what you're saying. So they're willing to say, okay, you're right, and to just take a step back from their opinion. I just want to talk just a second on this last trait. There's a lot to say on all of these, but this idea of modeh al ha'emet. So the Maharal, when he talks about the word emet, he points out that emet and sheker, I don't know if you've heard this before, emet and sheker, the letters are aligned different in relation to the alphabet. Emet has the first letter of the alphabet, has the last letter, taf, and has the mem, which is in the middle. Right? Aleph, mem, taf, the full alphabet. The word for lie, for deceit, is sheker. Those are 3 of the last 4 letters of the alphabet. Right? They're like resh, kuf, resh, shin, and then taf is the last letter. So really, person who's striving for truth, they have like a full spectrum of letters. And the person who's involved with sheker, with lies, they just have a very minimal perspective on the very edge, like in the margins of the alphabet. So you can understand from the Maharal a nice understanding in relation to somebody who's seeking out truth. What is truth? I'm trying to see someone who has the truth. The truth is somebody who has a very clear opinion, and it's sometimes they're saying the most extreme statement. People will view them as being true. But I think what Maharal's saying, he's saying something different. He's saying for something to be true, it doesn't have to be extreme, all the way on one side of the spectrum. For someone to seek truth, they have to see the full spectrum of views from Aleph at top. They might have a view that's closer to Aleph, or a view that's closer to top, but they're able to see a broader vision of Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dal, Mem, Top, the full spectrum. That's what Emet is. Someone is able to encompass multiple sides of an investigation, and then they establish their approach, maybe wherever they fall on the spectrum. Someone who is not able to do that, doesn't have a broader perspective, they're in sheker. They're just in they're like one part of the spectrum, and they can't move from that place. I think that might be hinted to in the earlier pieces here, where it says they don't poskin impetuously, and they're able to hear the other view, make space for the other view, and answer first, meaning making space for other views as well. So the example I brought in my Pirkei Avot book was Anthony Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. You can agree with one of them or completely disagree with one of them. But what's nice to think about their connections, they were still friends. They probably didn't agree with almost anything the other one said, but they were able to see at least, or make space at least for the other view, even though they completely disagree with it. I think that's what's missing today. It seems like almost old school now, that you can have a view, it'd be completely different than somebody else, who's still able to get along with them. So I think that that's not just a good thing, it's a wise thing because you see a broader perspective. That's the idea of emet, aleph, mem, and tough.